Oh, it's Thursday, 9 p.m., and welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the Pacific Northwest. As I mentioned, it's Thursday, 9 p.m., time to crash the interwebs. You're expecting Chris of the Northwest. And astute viewers will note I'm not him. I am, however, Wits End, and tonight we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. Hang on. All around the globe. So while we're dealing with the post-vacation blues, you'll be caching in the Northwest. Is that my best Chris impression?
That was awesome. That was fantastic. No one's going to even realize he's not here.
Okay, yeah. And we're going to chat about geocaching on fire. No, geocaching in forest fire season tonight. And we're going to look to you, live audience, because Chris isn't here for the insulting banter. So we're counting on you for that. No, just tell us your thoughts about stuff. It's just me and Land Monkey and all of you friendly viewers out there tonight.
Exactly. Yes. Wits End of the Northwest.
That's me. So
awesome.
Chris is lost in space with the what is it? The space folk? Kamakino, help me out. What was
He's stuck on the space station for another few months. Oh, talking about news. I feel so bad for those people.
That's those I thought you were talking about the geocaching our friends from outer space folks.
Oh, outer space.
Those outer space folks.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks, Kamakino.
Yeah. They've got they've abducted Chris of the Northwest.
That's right. You're referring to the two astronauts on the space station with the Boeing Starliner that's not going to bring them home anytime soon.
Yeah. Just go up there for 4 days.
Yeah, what was it? 8 days, 4 days, something like that.
3-hour tour.
And yeah. So it's they've been there a while and they're going to be there a while longer. And what did I read? I think I heard if they come home SpaceX, they're not coming home until February.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I read. Yeah, crazy.
Okay. Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I can think of worse places to be stuck than the ISS. I mean, it'd be kind of cool
for the first month, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna be hanging out here in the cupola with all the windows open for like ever.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, hey, listeners, we are going to just have a little more casual, relaxed podcast tonight with Wits End and myself. If you want to contribute, we would love to have you contribute as we go through some thoughts we have on geocaching and forest fires. Use hashtag fire. It's important that you yell it.
Yes.
Otherwise, the chat lackey might not hear you. So he's a little hard of hearing on one side. So
yeah, type it on just like our chat lackey put it in there.
Yeah, there you go. And hey, if you got other stuff you want to talk about that isn't related to geocaching and forest fires, well, hey, that's the good old hashtag FATAS. You know how this show rolls. All right. And before we get into any of that, quick reminder, we appreciate the support of our patrons.
Indeed.
Who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. Thanks to our corporate Denali level sponsors. Well, that would be Land Sharks. Remember to boost your cosmic quest with Land Sharks. Every $25 you spend gets a free trackable Sharks tag to activate and earn fuel points in the cosmic quest. Check it all out at landsharkz.ca. And our other corporate Denali level sponsor, well, that's Gold Country Geotourism. Visit exploregoldcountry.com. Learn about the geotours, the region. Don't forget to download the app. And then, if you want to know more about supporting this here podcast, we encourage you to click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website.
Yeah, I didn't imitate you that well when I tried that one week.
Did you? How'd it go?
You better stick around and do it yourself. How about that?
Okay. All right.
And I see Wet Coaster is trying hard with the what is a glow? But we're going to skip the glow tonight because Well, Chris has access to all the glows in this special uh, glow safe. They're all locked up tight and secure, and we don't have access to that. He doesn't trust us with the combination to that
I
lock.
mean, would you
Would
trust
you? Yeah.
us? Right?
So
We are locked out of the glow safe, so no glow tonight. But let's just dive right into the topic, man. What do you think about that?
I think it's great as long as you don't yell it in a crowded theater, as Iham points out.
It's a good thing this isn't the live show.
Yeah.
So, topics not to cover in the live show. Thank you very much, Iham. Good thinking. So hey, I was doing a little bit of research, and we've got about 350 wildfires in British Columbia alone, not to mention what's going on in Alberta, the Yukon, Washington State, Idaho, California. It's this time of year, the North America catches on fire. And if that's not bad enough, now we've got landslides trigger in areas that are ravaged by forest fires and blocking rivers, and it's nuts out there, folks. So who knows how many geocaches we've lost, but what we really want to avoid, that's losing geocachers.
That's right.
Much more important. So we got a few suggestions and ideas of things that we would encourage people to do to make sure that you can cache safely and cache often during forest fire season.
Absolutely. And gosh, thank you, chat room. I see it just blowing up over here. Let's see, is there anything we want to jump into there with? Keats was going to head into the backcountry around Merritt in search of caches, but after hearing a harrowing story from hikers in Jasper, I am considering a reconsideration.
Okay. I don't think there's any major fires in that area at the moment. So, but you never know what happens. Yeah. Brylang throws in, there's no fires of note near Merritt at the moment.
Okay,
That's as of 9:08 p.m.
Yeah. When we crash the webs and hopefully don't start fires. I did see a news report quickly today this week. There was a huge fire in Vancouver, like collapsed and toppled a construction crane on the street onto the trolley cables and all kinds of stuff. But
wow, missed that story. I know there was a fire, an arson in a Walmart in Vancouver. That's kind of crazy. But anyhow, that's not what we're talking about. So let's maybe, Jim, why don't we roll through a few tips that we have?
Tips here. So if you're going to head into the backcountry, and even if it's not wildfire season, it's still good to check current fire conditions, because sometimes we're at a higher risk for wildfires than other times, and sometimes we're at a risk even when it's not season. So check the latest fire conditions and alerts for your area or the area you plan to be hiking in. More specifically, there's a website for BC Wildfire Service. There's a website called InciWeb, and I'm sure that there's all kinds of stuff in Washington State, national parks, all kinds of stuff. And like I say, if you're caching somewhere else in the world, there could be a wildfire in that area too. So check out, do some Googling, exercise your Google foo.
Exactly. And, yeah. I mean, wherever it is that you're planning to visit. And, that's the thing about the Northwest, is that it's so easy up here for us to, either go caching in British Columbia or Washington or Idaho or Oregon, right? It's very easy to get around to the different areas. So, do a little, as Whitson says, do a little Google foo. There are online resources for all those regions where they will track current wildfire conditions, so you can know before you go.
Absolutely.
And that'll allow you to avoid restricted areas, because and this is an interesting one to me, Jim, because not only, I think the obvious is if there's a closure of an area because there's an active fire or there was just a fire, definitely something you need to have in mind. But there's areas, and I know this occurred up in the Gold Country area a little bit when they had some wildfires a couple of years ago. There's areas that then get closed after the wildfire because they want to give the land a chance to rebound a little bit, and so they're actually close access. So, just sort of try and pay attention. And it also raises a good point. If you're a cache owner and you have caches in an area where a wildfire has been reported, maybe disable those caches until you have a chance to go check on them. Because then you reduce the likelihood of somebody being tempted to go.
Yeah, the old adage of tread lightly applies even more in this kind of situation, because the ground has already been damaged and it just can't deal with foot traffic a lot of times. One in Seattle, another place to check, Chelan County Emergency Management on Facebook is the best I've seen, covering all eastern Washington north of Interstate 90.
Excellent.
So that's a great resource too.
Thank you. We got a comment here from Seebeck Tribe. It says, I got to see the Fraser River rising and debris from the landslide up north of Hope. The river wasn't rising that fast in that area, but rising, and the river was breaching the landslide. Yeah, that was quite a situation we had up there. And that's what I was referring to, where because of the unstable soils and lands, like it says fire erode soil. It does.
Yep, it does.
It removes all the trees and bushes that were having roots holding things back, and tumbles down. It takes out huge areas. So it's definitely something to be concerned about. Hey, we've got a guest this episode.
Yeah, this just in.
Well, hello. My name is Chris of the Northwest. I'm, longtime listener, first time caller. Happy.
How long have you been geocaching?
At least 2 weeks.
Okay. What's your most memorable find?
Boy, didn't we just talk about that last week?
Could be.
Welcome back.
Ring of Fire was pretty good.
Yeah.
And maybe that's on topic.
Ring of Fire.
There you go. That would have been a good glow if only Jim and I had access to the safe.
Yeah, we told everybody we don't have the combination to the glow safe.
Are you sure?
So we couldn't get to those, and we just moved right on. Even though we had several people asking, "What is a glow?" We had to say,
"What is a glow?"
We
I
don't
do
know.
want to know that.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out. Somebody did say, it's a fantastic up there. It's Gaslight, Land Monkey, or Wits End.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Thanks.
That's what a glow is.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
You know what? Maybe that's what I should be doing.
Well, hey, why don't do you have the show notes open?
Hold on, I'm sharing. Hey, I see that you both are editors to the glow file. So
okay,
you guys have that.
Okay, we might have permission. We just didn't know the location.
That could be true.
And frankly, trying to start the
Two-factor
podcast in your
authentication.
absence was all I could handle. Okay.
Hey, you guys did it. You got a podcast going.
And Wits End did a wonderful job. All credit to Wits End for getting this
Exactly.
episode.
Hey,
I did
are
an
we-
impression of you?
Are we on monitor air quality?
We are. If you
I
could,
didn't know
If
that.
we're going to talk about fires, this is what I want to talk about.
okay.
So even if there are no active fires nearby, now I just came back into the Northwest. As soon as I step outside, you can smell the smoke.
Yeah.
Right. Hadn't experienced it. Come back in, and even flying in, there's this low lying. It looks like a low lying cloud, but you can tell it's smoke just covering the entire Northwest.
Yeah. This morning when the sun came up, it was that orange hue.
Yeah.
Golden hour all day.
that that orange glow where you can actually stare at the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't do it, but you could.
But you could.
We do not condone such activity.
Oh, that's true. Okay. So, I can tell you from flying in that smoke can travel long distances, right? It'll get caught into an air flow and just go and go and go. And it tends to stay low.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes I'm jittery. Must have had too much coffee.
There you go.
That changes the air quality and weather actually in the area, right? It can hold some of that moist air down, increase humidity, and do other things. So, so check the air quality index. Your smartphone,
Yeah.
good
Most
indication.
weather services.
Yeah, and weather services, right? Let's see. 3ham says my neighborhood currently smells of smoke, and yes, orange sunlight all day long.
Yeah, always better
Great if
here in
you're
the
a
Tri-Cities too. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Makes for some
Exactly.
gorgeous sunrises and sunsets.
Yes, it does. Now, while the air quality is not good, right? I think coming in we saw it at 60, right? So that's not terrible, but that's not good. Try to limit your outdoor activity if you can, because breathing that in is no good for you, even at lower air quality. So
Yeah. Well,
Um,
even comment from Brylang, exactly, I think to that point, Chris.
mhm.
He canceled a camping and hiking trip this weekend due to a major fire burning 5 miles, 8 kilometers from the intended campground. And I know specifically which hike he was talking about. And it's an upper elevation hike where I think to your point, where the air is going to be a little thinner to start with, but you add some smoke into that. That's
Yeah.
not great hiking experience.
Exactly. And 5 miles is not very far for a fire
No.
to spread. So, really good planning there, Brylang, to stop your activities. Not only, that close by, the air quality is going to be, much worse. You can go check websites. You can go check your local government health advisories for current air information. If you watch the evening news, they're going to tell you during this time, oh, the air quality is, this, and it's, we plan it for this the next day. Hopefully the major, what do they call the fronts, right? High front, low front, right?
Right.
High pressure system
Yeah.
will change out and move that smoke around and move it out of the way. But all it's going to do is move to another area, right? You still have that smoke nearby. So
Yeah.
be careful around there, folks. That
For
can,
sure.
that can affect your lungs and make the outdoors less pleasant.
For sure.
Indeed.
Just a flippant comment I made earlier about great photography, but Komakino says it annoys him because the white balance is off and it gives him a headache. So
Yeah,
there you go.
especially when you try to record that B-roll for later editing,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all off in color. Yeah. It doesn't match the original.
Too funny.
All right. Well, let's see. As long as we're talking about hiking and you are going to try to get out, so you've maybe done your research, checked InSuWeb and other websites, you're going to avoid the restricted area and monitor that air quality, plan ahead.
Mhm.
We talk about it all the time anyway, but plan your route or plan your route if you prefer.
Mhm.
You should have a clear understanding of your geocaching route and ensure that there are multiple exit points. Very important in fire season. Fires can change direction quickly, and it's crucial to have alternative escape routes in mind.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, to that advice that we're sharing, it sounds suspiciously like, oh, well, if you're going to, hike and geocache somewhere near a brush fire or a forest fire, here's some things to keep in mind. I would also say, keep in mind, like what Brylang shared earlier. I was like, if it looks like the area is anywhere near
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's wildfire, just like find somewhere else to go. Like it just seems like a bad idea.
And GSM times 2 brings up a great point. When wind moves the smoke, it also moves the fire.
And as the fire goes, it creates its own weather
Mhm.
patterns and so on and so on.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the big fires just east of us here in BC, one of the closest ones, created a pyrocumulus cloud system that wonderfully created thunderstorms.
Wow.
So the fire that was started by a lightning strike is creating more lightning strikes. Like, great. That's not the end of the world,
Did it gain sentience too?
right? It may, yeah, probably.
I'll bet it did. I'll bet it gained sentience and then created an earth cache there.
Yeah. Come here, land monkey.
That's right.
We'll guide you in. Come to me.
Feed me, Seymour. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one we want to talk about, also apparently I'm talking about it, is bring proper equipment. So ensure that you have the right gear, including a GPS device. Having a physical GPS is not a bad thing, right? Don't always rely on your phone. If you do, make sure you bring extra power for your phone.
Yeah.
It will give you, fire updates on the phone, right? So that's always good. But if you're using multiple radios, you're going to drain your battery faster. So
Mhm.
be aware. Bring plenty of water and bring extra water. Okay. If you bring a face mask or bandana, that will help. And also, if you're getting a lot of smoke, put your face mask or bandana in the water and then put it up to your face, and that will help filter out even more smoke particles. So that's the extra water part. I like Brylang. Proper equipment should include a satellite communicator to call for rescue. Yeah. And sorry that I said I like Brylang. That's just going to inflate his head a little more.
He won't be able to get out of the tent wherever he goes camping now.
That's right. No, but a really good good tip there.
An important suggestion.
Yeah. If you're going to go into the highly smoky areas, and we advise against it, you might want to bring a mask that's rated to filter out particulates. So that could be an N95, it could be a P100, it could be, whatever you're using that may actually have a separate filter that can be changed out.
Yeah.
You're
less likely to get COVID.
That's right. That's right. I would think if you're considering that, maybe you want to change your plans, plan your route a little differently.
If you need to wear an N95 mask because of the smoke, maybe that's not a great
yeah.
place to go geocaching.
It might not be. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's just my little 2 cents.
There we go. 3 amps says roll up your right in the rain log sheet to make a snorkel, then immerse yourself in a river.
That's not.
But you'll be still breathing in that smoke. So.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
And that log sheet is flammable. So, well, maybe not if it's soaked in the river.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That right in the rain paper may actually be, you could probably roll it tight enough that you could use it as a snorkel and it would keep the water out.
Yeah. Well, hey, on the topic of planning your route and bringing proper equipment, Brylang shares this story. There was a big fire up in Jasper that it's a shame. It really destroyed a lot of wonderful areas there. But in Jasper National Park, some hikers were picked up by helicopter on what appeared to be a blue sky day. There was a fire that was burning their exit trail, and there was no indication for them for where they were camped. So, backpackers, it sounds like. So, yeah, really important. And then he follows up with another group in Jasper chose to hike out when they smelled the smoke, hiked out to a different road from where the fire was located. They may not have vehicles anymore. Yeah. That's a fair point.
I remember the story talking, I don't know how many episodes ago, where, a group of people were going to swim in a swimming hole in the local forest, right?
Yeah.
Very short drive from the parking lot. Swimming, fire came through, stopped and blocked their exit out. And it took them several days with a guide to get them back out of the area. So, be prepared.
I recall us discussing that one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so tough. I mean, you don't plan for it, right? You don't think, oh, this could happen. And, if your exit trail gets blocked, what do you do?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well,
and brings us back to what we were talking top of the podcast before you joined us, Chris. You
go
to the International
Space. What did I miss?
You go to the International Space Station for a little 8-day trip, and you wind up being there for 8 months.
Funny
thing,
an
alternate exit route.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well, did it?
I think they should bring
forgot about the alternate exit route.
Yeah, I think they should do like the Red Bull guy with the skydiver.
Oh.
When a drink company has a better space program than your country.
Yeah. But hey, there's some great stuff coming in the chat. But before we get to it, I want to read this next one because I think it's going to dovetail nicely from what we were just talking about into some of the other. It'll be a good segue point into some of the other stuff coming in the live chat. You guys are awesome tonight. You are on fire in the live chat. All right. Hey, an important one, and we've talked about this so many times. Communicate your plans. Leave a trip plan. Now, I'll say that earlier this evening, I enjoyed a trip plan IPA from Bridge Breweries, but it's not exactly the same thing.
Thank you. I was going to point that out. That's not the proper way to trip plan.
However,
why that may be enjoyable.
The purchase of that beer funds North Shore Search and Rescue. So there you go.
You know what? After you've come back from a successful trip and you didn't have to use your trip plan, go get a beer.
Go get a beer. All right. But yeah, so what we're talking about is communicate your plans, leave a trip plan, let someone know your geocaching plans, leave them a couple of the GC codes that you're targeting.
Mhm.
So then somebody can look that up and go, oh,
Yeah.
this is exactly where they were headed. Include your route, your expected return time, as always. The key things that we always say should be in a trip plan. That way, if something goes wrong, help can get to you as efficiently as possible. And there's some other great stuff in the chat. I want to grab Dora Moore's.
Yes.
There we go. She said she watched an Adventure Smart video about a fire that trapped a group of hikers where there was no cell service. And Dora Moore went out the next week and bought a Zoleo, which is another one of those satellite communication devices. I have that same one, the Zoleo, myself.
Zoleo. I don't know.
It's
that
a
one.
Canadian
Oh, okay.
manufacturer. So you probably never heard of it.
Does the country of manufacturer matter?
No,
I mean, they're using the same satellites.
I've used the Zoleo around the world. It's
Okay.
It's satellite. Yeah, it's satellite communication.
It just made me think. It was like, oh, it's Canadian. I don't know.
It's Canadian, so it sends the message in both French and English.
That's right.
Kitty Quest loves her Zoleo.
There you go.
Have you used it? I mean,
Yes.
other than having it with you, have you used it to send a message?
I have. Yeah.
Just to check in that I'm okay?
Yeah. I haven't needed to use it in an emergency situation.
Good. Good
Thank
to know.
goodness. But I haven't.
Have you filed it away in a Zoleo folio?
Yeah. that's
Oh,
right.
Okay.
a special folder for your satellite communications.
Indeed.
All right. Oh, and Kitty Quest also says that she's used it, but not for an emergency. So
There you
similar to Land Monkey. All right. Well, when dealing with wildfire season, stay indoors. Oh no, stay informed. Okay, I misread
Well,
that. But staying indoors is also a good option.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing either. Stay
Yep.
informed while you're indoors.
That was my snarky response when I saw Land Monkey post this afternoon about what do you need to know about geocaching and wildfire season? And my snarky response was, don't go.
well, I mean, that's
just stay
also a
home.
serious consideration.
But it is, yeah. You should have a reliable weather app on your phone or a weather radio because you'll get real-time alerts and updates on fire conditions and air quality while you're out and about. A lot of areas have apps or text alert services specifically for emergency notifications, depending on the area you're in. So, as we mentioned before, exercise that Google food, do a little research before you go out and figure the best way to stay informed while you're on the trail.
Yeah, and a weather radio, a dedicated weather radio is not that expensive. And maybe it's worthwhile to have one in your kit for situations like this.
And some other radios, walkie-talkies and things will access those weather bands and serve dual purpose that way.
Like the Rhino, I believe, doesn't it?
They might. I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, it's got like every band on it, I think. That's quite the device. Okay. Well, yeah. So I think there's some great stuff there. Lots of great stuff in the chat as well. What have we missed that we can bring up from our wonderful people in the chat? Got some patas.
Did we mention the wildfires in BC to check this map?
We did.
Wildfiresituation.nrs.gov.bc.ca.
We did. Yes. Thanks to Bryling for providing that link. We've got here Keats is sharing an update here. New out of control fire near Port Mellon on the Sunshine Coast side of Howe Sound. Smoky skies tonight. Yep, it's been a little crazy. We covered that one. Here, what do we got from Starkcasher? Starkcasher shares, I am so glad I am not in an area of the country that is unplanned forest fires. Because there are planned burns as well. Good point. I think they're called prescribed burns here is what they call them. But anyway, He says, however, even with that, Ohio's disputed oldest cache that's near him was melted
Ooh.
after he found it during a planned burn.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's a
Well,
shame.
that is a shame. Glad he's okay though. Anything else you guys want to bring up from the chat?
Let's see.
3 Hams has a $15 AM FM NOAA weather radio.
Yeah, and IHAM says you should be able to pick one of those up at your local radio. Never mind.
But
I think I had an orange one that attached to my handlebars of my bike.
right? Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, but it's a valid point. 3 Hams makes that they're not expensive.
Right.
And yes, it's one more thing to carry, right? And when we're going hiking for the day, it's like, oh, how much stuff do I want to carry? But you know, it's not a bad option if you can split stuff up between your hiking group.
GSM times 2 says, I've had my InReach twice where I could have used it in an emergency, but others had already made contact before I got there.
Well,
Okay,
sounds
there you go.
good for more people to be prepared. That's good.
You know, I guess I'm selfish, right? Aren't we all a bit selfish? I was thinking the InReach just for you, but you know, when you're on the trail and there's somebody else who needs help, that would be a great way to reach out and get help to them. Silly me.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing about carrying a first aid kit, right? Like I've always got a pretty well stocked first aid kit when we go out, and there's been a couple of times that it's been used. I think I've used it for other people more than I've used it for myself. And that's great, right? To be able to help other folks who need it. And but it also, you know, it's one thing to carry a first aid kit. It's also really important. And I know I'm going off topic here, but
no,
just going to say it's also really important to know how to use the contents. So
yeah. Make sure you know how to use all the pieces and parts in there, right? The bandages, know how to wrap an ace bandage properly, know how to use a splint, you know, different things. Know how to use the sling. I mean, the sling that comes with a first aid kit, you look at it and you go, how am I supposed to use this thing? This isn't like any other sling I've ever gotten.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, next time we're out, if you get a headache, remind me and I'll splint and ace bandage your head to help.
Thank you. That will help a lot.
Yeah.
Come back all cockeyed and I don't have a headache anymore.
Can't breathe, but got rid of the headache.
Yeah, slings are used to launch projectiles.
Indeed.
Fine then.
Tourniquet around the neck takes care of a lot of that.
GSM times 2 says, after the Thomas fire, we replaced more than 300 caches that were destroyed by the fire. We named them OOTA for out of the ashes.
Phoenix style. Nice.
There you go.
Very
yeah.
good.
But,
so, you know, did you guys talk about maintaining caches in a fire area?
A little bit, but hey, if you have thoughts you want to share on it, go for it.
You know, I get a little frustrated sometimes. I don't know if you know. I may be outspoken from time to time and say things, but you know, anyway. You may have to disable your caches that are in a fire area, right? Because even though, there you go, disable your caches while the area is closed. I enabled mine so others would help me to determine whether they're still there or damaged. Okay, all of us helped each other. You may have somebody in the locals will go, oh, there's a fire, I'm not going out there. But if somebody's in town and traveling and, you know, they say, oh, this is a cache that has a lot of favorite points, let's go, and not realize it's in a fire area, disabling it, you know, may give them that clue or prevent them from going out that way and getting themselves in danger. So, you know, I look at it and go, yeah, use common sense, but sometimes, you know, if you're not in the area, you can't read the signs like the locals can. So okay. So now I'll be less picky. You know what? That actually makes sense. Disable your caches if they're, well, you pick the radius. If it's 5 miles within a fire, that's probably close enough.
Yeah.
Disable your caches so people aren't tempted to go out there.
Yep. And, you know, we talked also about, when those areas are closed after the fire goes through that, and it depends on your area, right? Because I think that's something, you know, GSM times 2, he said before we even got started, you know, where he lives, it's more brush fires they have rather than the forest fires that we get in the Northwest here that are insane. Like brush fires move, but they're different as well, right? Like brush fires, I think generally move pretty darn fast. Low to the ground, move fast.
Especially if it's windy.
Yeah. As do, of course, our forest fires. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I remember last year when we lost one of the, ironically, fire lookout towers. But it's one that was maintained by the Four Wheel Drive Association as like almost like a historic landmark and a great place to 4x4 up to and everything. And it had a webcam, and you could watch the fire come up. Like they had the video out. I'm sure you can still find it on YouTube, but you just watch the fire come right up to it, and then right, video's over. Just insane the way those forest fires can move.
Yeah, it is. It is. They can move so quickly and jump, even prescribed fire lines. So
yeah,
you know what? The best thing to do is stay out of the way and let the firemen do their job rather than having to take their time to rescue you, or make sure you're out to safety before they can go back and fight the fire. So yeah, that's what I would say is, just don't even be there.
And if you do bring your Zoleo or your InReach, leave, this is not the right time to use your flare gun to signal for help.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good
well
thing.
Played.
Yeah.
Don't need your snorkel either.
No. Oh, that's too funny. Brylang says another fire lookout tower in BC was lost in a fire in the last couple of weeks. The Lavina Tower in the Kootenays. Crap. Yeah. All right.
They got to do something to fireproof these fire lookout towers.
Right?
Yeah.
Build them out of steel.
Make them out of the stuff they make the airline black boxes out of.
There you go.
Those always survive.
Yeah.
So if the fire tower falls to the bottom of the ocean, it'll be fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't they make the whole plane out of that stuff?
Yeah, I knew Cornwall was in jeopardy. It's been in jeopardy a few times with fires.
Oh, near Spence's Bridge.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. You've been there. That's where Mosquito
what
Falls
language are we supposed to be watching?
I don't know.
Oh, you use the C word, land monkey.
I was gonna say it's probably me.
Oh, well, good. Let's see, what does GSM times 2? They have to have a plan to look out for the lookout towers.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Well, I don't know if you guys have ever been up in a fire lookout tower, but they're pretty amazing.
They are.
So yeah, it's a shame to lose them.
Yeah. Well, one of our local, area cachers, Lookout Lisa, was named because she loved to go to the fire lookouts.
Yep.
She chose that name. So
good point.
I just thought it was to warn people she's coming. Look out, Lisa.
Look out. Yeah. Or maybe that she has poor sight.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Look out, Lisa. Oh.
Yeah. C3 Toppling says you would think they'd be building them out of steel by now.
Yeah. Well,
the caching cans.
I think caching cans. Nice to hear from you. I think a number of them are when they're rebuilt, they become that way. Yeah. So Keith, go ahead.
I was gonna say this spring had a new television antenna installed on our tower at work, and the best way for them to get up there was by helicopter. And we talked to them. They were a Black Hawk helicopter in, and they said their bread and butter is building stuff at altitude like forest lookout towers and ski lifts and all those kind of things. So they are building a lot of them out of steel, and they're getting them up there by helicopter.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. Okay, so the one land monkey was going to is accessible by 4x4. That's tough to haul large timbers and large amounts of timber up there in a 4x4.
Yeah.
The big trucks, from your local lumber yard aren't going to make that.
Indeed. Yeah. And I mean, there's some back and forth in the chat right now as well about the historic fire towers. And they are, as Brian says, they're not maintained by the government, at least here in BC. They're maintained by user groups like the BC Four Wheel Drive Association and groups like that because they're destinations to go
Mhm.
visit. But
Mhm.
once it's gone, then it's a real big project to exactly to your point to get a new one built up.
Yeah, I think gone are the days of, the lonely ranger in the lookout tower year round.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think I watched a documentary recently about in Washington State is the last manned fire lookout.
Hmm.
So anyhow,
I'm trying to think of the ranger from the Red Green Show who, is in his lonely lookout.
yes, yeah,
I'm sure somebody in the chat knows the name, but anyway, just who I thought of. Now with webcams or drones, you really don't need them anymore.
yeah. Well, and there's a comment earlier by Keats about drones and
Ranger
those
Gord.
Ranger Gord. There you go. Thank you, Wet Coaster. Those drones that are used for fire looks and stuff are run by the official sanctioned bodies who are using those for those purposes. If you're anywhere near an interface area for a forest fire or any kind of restricted area, don't fly your drone.
Good point. Yes.
There are quite a number. So this is the thing. So drones, there's this funky rule. If it's under 250 grams, and a lot of drones are sold at 249 grams, until you put batteries in it, and now all of a sudden it goes over the weight. But anyways, it technically slips under the radar of a few of the rules, but only because you don't need to be licensed.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that I see as a drone operator, I'm speaking as a drone operator, but the problem I see with that is it gives people who buy those under 250 gram drones the impression that they don't need to know the rules and they can just fly them where they want. And that's not the case.
Right.
The rules still apply. It's just you don't need the license.
Yeah. There's apparently no restrictions in Butler, Pennsylvania, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Ouch. Let's see. Yeah. GSM times 2 says with JPSS and Landsat, satellites monitor fires pretty well.
Yeah. Valid point. Very valid
Mhm.
point. Yeah. And lots of discussion about fire lookouts made of different materials and different fire lookouts that folks have visited in the chat. That's awesome, you guys. But I think maybe we've pretty much exhausted the topic of caching when it's forest fire season. I think we covered a lot of really good tips. We had lots of great feedback from you guys there in the live chat. Thank you very much.
In short, be safe, be smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we could have said that and gotten the show done.
Could have been a 30-second podcast. Yeah. And then you would have come to join the podcast and we would have already been done, Chris.
Yeah,
we were trying to rush through.
My editing would have gone really quick.
No kidding. All right. Well, Chris, do you want to kick off the closing then?
Well, we can kick off the closing, then we'll talk about some WSGA stuff coming up. But let's put that in the after show.
Sounds good.
And folks, we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Indeed. We want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism, both our corporate Denali level sponsors. LANDSHARKZ.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. Remember, shipping those online orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching and outdoor adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com and download the app. We want to thank all of our faithful Denali level sponsors. Of course, that's Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Cool Cow Cachers, Cachley, and Hawaiian Maile. If you want to know, thank you for putting in the phonetic spelling pronunciation for that, since I struggle with it every week. If you want to know more about supporting the show, like those awesome supporters do, and the list of people we're about to read, then click the Patreon link on the cachingandw.com website.
Like GeoBirder did.
And Dora Moore.
And geocaches.
And the terrible T's.
UDAC,
Flagman.
And Teus.
Logwork,
GeoNav Pro.
LG 9000.
Limax,
CRS 98.
Gas Station Tuna.
Peach of Washington,
Skyhawker.
Just finding our way.
Subway Mark,
Speaking of Lookout Lisa, it's Kid Vegas 19.
Hey, Ackerdoc.
Seebeck Tribe,
J-Car.
I lost my space. Sege Hove.
Whidbey Island Gal,
The Camp Clan.
Just Carlo.
Mountain Bike,
Green Words.
Genies.
M-Nerve,
Kitty Quest.
MC3 Cats.
Nervous Energies,
Boomer 365.
GSM times 2.
You Talks to Rocks,
For all the spilly drinkers out there, Wet Coaster.
Trexer.
Butterfly Girl,
Team Noltex.
BC Rock Crawler.
B Pendragon,
And Railroad.
Folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. So if you like the show, click the Patreon link somewhere on that cachingnw.com page. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. But if you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a review. Because if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, I didn't do it. Free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. You can also call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask a question, or you know what? Help us spot a forest fire any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. The show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, J. Paul Witz. No. Wow. How out of practice am I?
M-I-M,
I see how out of practice I am.
Ryan Miley.
Yeah, there you go. Folks, we just want to prove to you this is read live each and every week, though it may sound mechanical. No, we read it each and every week. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwoods, Jay Kennedy, and Brian Lang. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2024 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
the after
Very
show.
nice.
hey, look at that, graphics and everything.
Hey, Jim, how glad are you didn't need to read that last section?
Yeah. Thanks for making it, Chris.
Oh, you're very welcome. I've somehow broke into my NPR voice.
Oh, excellent. Well, now we'll all fall asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
The chat keeps going. Lots of great stuff in there. Let's just start grabbing stuff here. Seebeck Tribe got most northernly cache in Merritt, British Columbia, with one of the Gold Country caches. Well, congratulations.
Fantastic. Boy, she's been out and around getting caches this summer.
Yeah, she was over here in Tri-Cities for the camp out.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's quite the drive from Tri-Cities up to Gold Country, although the terrain would be very similar.
Yeah, that's true. And then back out to the peninsula.
Indeed.
Let's see. We have GSM times 2 says when resetting caches after the SoCal fires, don't put the new containers by stubs. Those plants resprout from their roots, and so the caches will be in the middle of the plant in a year.
Yeah.
Just rank the difficulty higher.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Good advice.
Good luck getting it out. It's grown in.
Yeah. It's fun. What else have we got, guys?
Well, I don't know. I like Kitty Quest. Oh, I'm sorry. Kitty Quest. Can't say her name at full volume. That's just not the way it's done. Bottom line, common sense.
Yeah.
Well, Caching Cants brings up a good question here in the FATAS. Who's heading to the Cache Across the Border? That's the CAB in Point Roberts this weekend. I'll be going there this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Land Monkey, are you coming down?
All the way down to Point Roberts?
Yeah.
I don't know. You might have missed this part of the show, but
You're right. I did.
The camping trip that Brylang was planning I was on the same trip, so we had to make a last minute decision to not go because the fires have encroached on the campsites. So not sure what our plans are this weekend yet.
If you channel our lazy lackey, he says it smacks of effort.
Yeah.
Let's see. SOE.
Yeah.
Why,
Nice.
Peach will be there, and
Yeah.
the caching cans, and I will be there as well. I'm going to
Nice.
leave here at dark 30 and head up.
There you go.
So
Wow.
yeah, that's one of the WSGA events, right? The
Okay.
summer cookout at Point Roberts. Or no, I'm sorry, Cache Across the Border.
Yeah.
Right.
At
It's a joint event usually, isn't it? The Cache Across the Border, the BCGA and the WSGA.
it alternates.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So this year it's WSGA. Next year it'll be the BCGA.
Brian says, sounds like Saturday is the perfect time to head to Seattle to go caching.
Yeah.
All the caches will be headed north.
Go against the flow of traffic.
Yeah, that's funny.
Wet Coaster says Greenwords and I will be there, starting with the breakfast at the airport.
Nice. Yeah, there's the little oh, darn it, what's that airport called? It's right on the way. Boundary Bay Airport, right on the way to Point Roberts as you cross the border and kind of drive around. That's got a fantastic little restaurant in there.
Dora Moore says, I can only get to the breakfast event, but I'll be thinking of you guys. You said Boundary Bay, and I was thinking, oh, wait, that's the ship that Khan was on. in
No,
Star
it's the
Trek.
Botany Bay.
Botany Bay. Yeah.
Botany Bay, yes.
Why
Botany
did that
Bay.
little thing trigger in my brain with the word?
I don't know. That's pretty cool.
This is City Alpha 6.
There you go. The coordinates are, it's almost pronounceable.
Get you a-
GCATAGK.
It's like a Bill the Cat hairball.
The Caching Cans is looking forward to increasing his number of cache finds in Canada.
Excellent.
And
Yes.
then
Slate
the-
Roberts is in the U.S. but
Well, that's exactly right.
But you
have to go
but you
through
can't get to
Canada.
it unless you go through Canada. So I
So you-
imagine
Go ahead. Yeah. So you got to
was
do 2 border crossings to get to this event, unless you have a boat.
Yes.
The Cache Across the Border 2024 is GCAQPWX. Wow. And the post event, I mean, it just keeps coming.
wow.
That is GCATDMK. Run DMK.
I was just
Something like that,
that's where my head went on that one.
And the day before the 3 CAB events, WSGA Puget Sound Border Run, GCAR09N.
Ooh, I don't know about that one. I won't be making it.
Wow.
Make a run for the border.
Yeah.
Busy.
Fantastic. Just before the show,
Yes, sir.
I got a text from Wino Seattle, who's the
Okay.
president of the WSGA,
Aha.
saying they're going to post and submit an event on August 10th. It is, GC OAJ. AWAYJ.
Hmm.
Away with you, Jay.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know exactly what that event is about, but it's coming up. They're going to post it on August 10th, in a couple of days. And Camp Out 2025, right? So the Camp Out, they just had the Camp Out, the WSGA Camp Out in the Tri-Cities.
Yep.
They know it's going to be at the end of July, but there's no set location. So if you want it near you, now's the time to go to your WSGA representative and start pinging them and say, we have to have it here. We have to have it here.
Create a lobby group.
Exactly.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all go to the lobby.
GSM times 2 says, for updates on the community's progress in Cosmic Quest, here's a spreadsheet. Did you guys talk about that?
Not really. Nope.
I know they passed over 5 million points so far.
We told everybody that you were kidnapped by the outer space folks, and that's why you weren't on the podcast.
Well, that is pretty much what happened. Yeah.
Hopefully, no probing.
I can't talk about it. It's too soon. But there's a spreadsheet at the address shared if you are interested in looking at more of the Cosmic Quest information.
There you go. I'm pulling up the Cosmic Quest leaderboard right now. It is at almost 5.7 million. 5.6 or 5,699,654 points.
If they go over their goal, maybe they can, on their way back to outer space, drop some fuel at the Boeing Starliner.
If they get extra fuel, maybe they can stop at the space station, bring somebody home, and then go on their way.
That seems kind,
doesn't it? Though,
yeah.
Considering how much the humans helped them, why don't you?
I don't know if I
out
trust
a couple
them
of humans?
anyway. I mean, they built a spacecraft, come all the way out of space, and they don't have enough fuel to get home. What kind of planning is that?
That's not good planning.
Did they file a trip plan?
How do we know?
Maybe
do they
that's what the
communicate?
coded message to HQ was.
Maybe.
Caching Cans is spilling a bit of the beans that the WSGA campout is going to be in the Southwest chapter in 2025.
I had heard that, but I didn't want to say it because you said it was unspecified. So I thought, well, maybe
That's what I
changed.
had heard this morning. But you know what? I'm going to spread it all the fake news that I can come up with.
There you go. GSM times 2 says, according to his math, we are behind pace to fuel the aliens. So, or the outer space folks. So,
Well, this weekend we'll make it up.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to step up their game. They got 371,775 points to gain.
And I'm going to drive like 4 hours just to go find a couple of caches to help those silly aliens.
What a guy.
Yeah. Those unprepared aliens.
Outer space folk.
Oh yeah, outer space folk. The OSF.
All right. Well, it's been fun.
Huh. Did you know there were 4 mega events in the world this weekend?
This weekend. Wow. That's cool.
I did not.
3am says the Starliner needs more than just fuel at this point.
Yeah. Fair point. It's soft.
How much fuel do they really need? I mean, gravity's on their side coming home, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's all downhill.
Indeed.
If you hit the right, was it 22.5 degree angle, entry angle?
Something like that.
Caching Cant says the 2025's location was publicly announced on Facebook and the 2024 cache page last week.
That's where I saw it. Okay.
So there you go.
Very cool.
And Wino Seattle is willing to spill the same beans.
Well, there you go. And if you want to get more info on those upcoming events, I would say probably go to the Hands Across the Border event and
Caching Across the Border event.
Caching Across the Border event and find one of the WSGA reps. I'm sure they'll be readily identifiable and give them a hearty shake, holding onto their shoulders and say, tell me, man.
Or you just keep watching GC Away Jay.
Away Jay. That's funny.
I don't know which one of the you two is referring to the J.
I'll just let you wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't shake Wino Seattle too hard, though. Apparently, he's got a torn ACL and meniscus. So
Ooh.
get well soon, man.
Ouch. Poor guy. All right. Don't shake him.
Okay. But challenge him to a race.
Yeah.
Now.
I mean, you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun Edwin.
Run Wino Seattle.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, when I'll probably be here on time, get out and get caching in the Northwest.